Okay, now that I am centered, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my speed down because there's no more need for speed. So I'm going to slow that down. Another pro tip here is to make sure you pick your speeds, then take your foot off the pedal so that you're not creating that variable of inconsistent speed. So I'm going to just find a nice kind of slow speed that's going to allow me to be impactful with digging the well, but also keeping control of my fingers. Again, hands are always coming together, supporting one another. This palm here is just along for the ride. I'm placing it along the side of my clay as I find that belly button with my middle finger, and then I'm going to begin to put in the pressure as my other two fingers kind of go along with the middle finger. I kind of put them on top of the middle finger so that I'm not creating too large of an opening. And I'm just pushing straight down into the center, where that belly button kind of was that visual cue to me of like where the center is. I'm even compressing the lip a bit as I come out of my cone-shaped well. And I'm going to just bring it down just a little bit more. All right, compressing the lip just by kind of leaning my fingers, the back of my fingers on the edge of the top of my clay. Now I'm going to take a minute, stop it. Always stop it before you check the depth of your floor. I'm inserting the needle tool, pushing my finger down to the end and seeing that I have about that much of a floor, which is a little over 1/4 of an inch, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather have a little more floor than not enough. And I'm sure you have had that experience. All right, the next step that I'm going to do is step 4, which is opening my center, and I'm only going to open it to the width of my rib tool. So here's my rib tool, and I can't quite insert it in, so I'm opening it just a little bit because I'm not trying to throw a cereal bowl or anything like that. I'm really trying to keep it in the shape of a cylinder. So I am going to just get my speed going again, pulling straight back to 6 o'clock, regardless of your hand preference of either right or left. So I'm pulling straight back to 6 o'clock. Mostly my middle finger is doing that pull. Now I'm going to stop. I'm compressing the lip again because a lot of times whenever you kind of do anything to your clay, you're going to need to compress the lip. Nope, it's not big enough. So again, I'm going to pull it back, increasing the size of the opening of my clay, and I'm going slowly so that I don't end up going too far. So I'm going to kind of do a little visual check. Yep, now it's big enough that I can insert my rib tool, make sure it has plenty of water on it. I'm coming in at an angle. I'm lifting up. I'm finding my floor, so I'm making contact with the floor of my clay, and then I'm pulling it just straight over to 3 o'clock, but I'm not pulling super wide and spreading my clay across my bat. Just enough to remove that excess clay and get a nice 90-degree angle in the interior of my cylinder. Right, just compress the lip again. I like to run my support fingers on the interior and exterior of the clay, and then you'll see my thumb on my right hand likes to kind of hang on to the meaty part of my thumb, and then that's where I do the pushing down. All right, now the fun part, the pulling up. Just kind of preparing my clay a little bit by taking the sponge to the interior where I had a little bit of a pool of clay. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be paying attention to the left or to the right side of my wheel, and I want to be thinking about that 3 o'clock location as I insert my fingers. Don't forget, you need to curl your fingers in. That little tiny movement is going to make a big impact on the ability to actually pull your clay up and gain the height of your cylinder. All right, so I'm beginning with my exterior fingers. I'm curling my fingers in, pushing, and then I'm going to be traveling up. And now I can tell that my fingers are at the same space or same spot. So now they're traveling and working together. Notice how my head is like straight over my clay. This is how I'm going to get a straight up and down cylinder. All right, as I'm approaching the lip, I'm going to release my fingertip pressure, and I'm going to easily come off just very gently. All right, I'm gonna do another pull, but I'm gonna first compress my lip because I could tell it was starting to kind of get a little bit of an interesting shape. So I'm doing that. Just lost the lights in the room. So I'm gonna keep on going, throwing in the dark a little bit. It's darker in person than camera, all right? But I'm pulling up, pulling straight up. All right, got a chunk of clay there. I'm gonna take a pause. If you have anything that's starting to kind of disrupt your ability to be consistent, just take a very slow approach. Take your hands nice and carefully off of the clay. All right, so I'm just getting rid of those kind of loose chunks of clay that were traveling and spinning around my clay. All right, coming in again, giving it a good, I'm kind of just getting rid of some excess clay there. It's almost like I was undercutting with my finger. All right, now I'm gonna pull straight up towards my face. Fingers are curled in and they're working together. And notice how slowly I am pulling up on my clay. This is not a race. If you just go fast up the clay, you're not going to be able to actually pull the clay and gain the height that you're looking for with your pulls. All right, approaching the lip, releasing the pressure, coming off. And again, compress my lip. All right. Cleaning up with the sponge. Okay, I'm going to give it one more pull because I can tell I have some clay here that I can afford to pull up, especially towards the bottom. So I'm really kind of pushing in with my middle finger. Now I'm traveling together, interior, exterior fingers. They are kind of curling up towards each other. So we're pinching that clay and moving it up. And you'll notice how my hands are both connected to one another. And then my arms are very close, particularly my right hand. It is touching the core of my body. And my left hand is up a little bit, but I'm definitely stabilizing both arms, which are then working to create that nice stable presence for my hands and fingers. Approaching that lip again, coming off really easily. And then I'm going to do a little kind of narrowing. It was flaring out. If it's starting to flare out, it's because of your body posture. It's like where you're kind of leading your arms and hands. So being right over your clay is going to allow you to really pull a straight cylinder. Now I'm taking the rib, and there's a very straight edge aspect of the rib, and I'm going to actually put my other hand on the inside. I put a little bit of water on there, and I'm going to just do a little bit of like holding the rib at that 3 o'clock location, and then I'm just running my interior finger along the interior wall of my cylinder and kind of doing a little cleanup, straightening things up by using the straight edge of my rib tool. And you'll see that kind of does a nice little kind of straightening of my cylinder as well. Okay, I'm gonna compress that lip one more time. I'm gonna turn it in. All right, and then in the dark here, last step, do my best to see if I can see in the dark, is, I don't know if I can see in the dark, how frustrating. I have the lights turned off on me. They don't do that during the school day because we're all moving so much. I am just a hair under 4 inches. So I could keep trying to I could do maybe one more pull, do the cleaning up, or I could call it good enough. And then don't forget, you can do a little bit of undercutting, which is a nice way to kind of have a finishing look. So I'm taking this kind of more curved, narrow point of the wooden rib, and I'm just putting it flat onto the bat, and I'm bringing it close up to my cylinder here, and you can see it kind of creates a little bit of a rim. And then again, I could do a little bit of cleaning up, but that's going to just excuse or take away some of that excess clay that likes to kind of flare out at the bottom. All right, so then the next thing you'd want to do is take your wire cutter, cut it off of your bat. I would recommend removing any excess water that you will find, maybe on the interior. See how I carefully just, I would even almost just like steady your hand as much as you can to remove that pool of water. And then I'd also clean up your bat so that you just have something nice and tidy to work with when you move into really removing it off of your bat, which will likely be the following day for you to do the black underglaze and then start working on your sgraffito plan and pattern. All right, you can do it.